Hi, I'm Claire from Port Adelaide Semaphore Salvos. I'd like you to think back over the last week. How many stories have you heard? Maybe you met up with some family members on the weekend and swapped stories. Maybe you met a friend for coffee and shared stories. Maybe you spoke to a stranger, a person in front of you at the checkout, or someone waiting at the school gate, and you listened to their story. Stories are a part of our daily lives, and swapping stories as we go about our day is not just about filling in time or getting to know each other better. Stories actually change us. They add to our knowledge and wisdom. They give us a new perspective. They increase our empathy towards people who are different from ourselves. You can probably also think of a handful of books that have had an impact on your life, the stories that have changed you. And the stories that have the greatest potential to change us, to completely change us on the inside, are the stories found in the Bible, God's Word. And since the church first began, these stories have been passed down from generation to generation and have changed millions of people's lives as they turn to Jesus. But over the years, I think the church overall has lost something in the way that we tell these stories. Every Sunday you can go to a church in Australia and you can hear stories from the Bible, and your children can be taught stories. But the problem is most Australians don't go to church. And because they don't go to church, they don't hear these stories. They don't know them. And that includes the majority of Australian children. They don't know the stories about Jesus, so how could they choose to follow him? So rather than try and get more people into churches, which we've been trying to do unsuccessfully for many years, why not bring the stories back into the public space where they used to be told in the early church? Back into the marketplace, into people's homes, and while walking along the road. Remember that people love stories. They're already telling stories all the time among their families and friends. If you learn to tell stories from the Bible and include them in conversation in natural and appropriate ways, God will lead you to people who will listen. I can guarantee this because I've experienced it myself. God longs for people far from him to hear his stories. And he will create opportunities for you if you learn them. And when I say learn the stories, I don't mean memorize word for word as it's written in the Bible. I mean learn the main points of the story so that you can relate it as it is, a story. I first learned about Bible storytelling a few years ago from a wonderful book called The Art of Sharing the Gospel Through Stories. And it's by Christine Dillon. You can check it out on Kindle or you can just Google Kurong and you'll find it there. You'll learn a lot more about Bible storytelling if you read that book. But in the next couple of videos, I'll just give you a few hints on how to learn a story and to include it in conversation. So tune in next time. See ya.